When I Lived with Bats by Faith McNulty, illustrated by Lena Schiffman. To Timothy and Michael McNulty, with love. This is the title page. Bats are weird. Bats are scary. They hate the sun and love the night. Bats can see in the dark. They get in your hair. Bats are dangerous and bad. None of this is true, but this is what I believed until the summer that I lived with bats. My family had rented an old farmhouse. I was about 10 and my brother was 12. We look back on it as our bat summer. In the evening, while the sky was still pale gray, we would see dark wings flitting over the yard. At first, I thought they were some sort of night bird. Mom said no. They were bats catching mosquitoes in the air. She said bats sleep in the daytime so they can hunt at night when there are a lot of insects and no birds to compete with. Of course, I had seen pictures of bats. They looked like mice with wings. In pictures, they were black and ugly. I believed bats were vampires and drank your blood. Mom said, "Don't worry, that's not true." Watching them dip and swoop over the yard, I decided I wouldn't go out after sunset in case a bat might swoop into my hair. I got used to seeing bats flying over the yard. Then we found that bats were not just outdoors. They were in the house too. We were sitting in the kitchen in the late afternoon. There was a noise in the chimney. Dust fell into the fireplace. In another instant, a bat was swooping around the room. Mom and Dad jumped up out of their chairs. I shrieked. My brother yelled, "I'll get him!" He picked up a baseball bat and began waving it. Mom said, "No, don't hurt it." The bat flitted around the room, always out of reach. Dad opened the kitchen door wide and stood back. The bat swooped out and disappeared into the evening sky. "They must be living in the chimney," Mom said. "I'm glad we didn't light a fire." My brother said, "Mom, why wouldn't you let me kill it? Do you want bats in the house?" "I don't want them in the house," she said, "but I don't want you to kill anything unless you absolutely have to." The bat wasn't doing any harm. The next bat was in my parents' bedroom. They found it when they went up to bed. I heard their voices and ran into the room. "There it is." Mom pointed at a window. Her voice was calm. The bat was hanging from the top of a curtain. Dad went toward it and the bat swiftly flew around the room. When it came in my direction, I was scared, but it made a quick turn and swooped away. "Don't worry," said Dad. "The last thing the bat wants is to get tangled in your hair. It just wants to get out of here." I could see the bat's beating wings, its pointed ears and open mouth. It flitted close to the ceiling and walls, but never touched them. "It's using its radar," Dad said. He opened a window at the top. In an instant, the bat was gone. He explained that when they fly, bats open their mouths and make tiny squeaks, too shrill for us to hear. When the sound waves hit something solid, they bounce back. This echo tells the bat the location of any object, even one as small as a mosquito. It's called echolocation. Bats use their eyes in the daytime and echolocation to hunt at night. In the morning, Mom and Dad discussed the bat problem. How did it get in the bedroom? Were bats living in the house? What should we do about it? Nobody knew the answers. A few days later, I saw a bat up close for the first time. It was hanging from a picture frame in the living room. I called Mom. She came in and opened a window, but the bat didn't fly. We moved closer to it. It was hanging head down, its hind toes hooked on the frame, its wings partly folded. In the air, bats look big. Now I could see that this one was really small, about the size of a mouse. It had brown fur except on its wings. They were hairless and paper thin. The bat looked up at us with small, shiny black eyes. Its face was round and its ears pointed, like a cat's ears. When Mom came near, it made tiny squeaking sounds. Still, the bat didn't fly. Mom said maybe it had flown around the room until it was too tired. She went to the kitchen and came back with a plastic container. She covered the bat with it, slid the lid onto it, and carried the bat out to the yard. "I think it needs a perch," she said. "Bats have trouble taking off from the ground." She went to an open shed and shook the bat out of the container onto a high shelf. We watched from a distance as the bat pulled itself together, stretched out its wings, then launched into the air. It zoomed over our heads and disappeared into the branches of a tree. The next bat caused a lot more commotion. When Aunt Sue came to visit, we didn't tell her about the bats. We didn't want to spook her. After supper, Aunt Sue said she would love a good hot bath. She went upstairs. We heard her running the water. 5 minutes later, we heard a shriek and dashed upstairs. Mom went into the bathroom. Behind the closed door, I could hear her saying, "Sue, it's only a bat. Calm down." No, you are not dreaming. Yes, there is a bath in the tub. It won't hurt you. Aunt Sue stopped shrieking, and Mom came out with a washcloth in which she had caught the bat. She was trying to stifle her laughter. It seems the bat must have been hanging from the shower curtain while Aunt Sue was relaxing in the tub. She gave the curtain a push, and the bat fell into the water. When Mom arrived, the bat was swimming, and Aunt Sue was trying to hide underwater. After Mom fished the bat out, she took it to the shed. Even though it was pretty soggy, it managed to fly. Aunt Sue is a sport. The next day, she went to the library with Mom, and they brought home bat books. Bats are mouse-like animals, but they are not mice. Nor are they related to birds. Birds probably came from reptiles that lived in the age of dinosaurs. Bats belong to a group of animals called mammals. It includes all the different kinds of animals from mice to elephants that give birth to live young and feed them with milk. Human beings belong to that group too. Bats are very much like other mammals, except for one extraordinary difference. They are the only mammal that can fly. We can guess that millions of years ago, a small furry animal climbed trees to hunt insects. Perhaps it began to glide from tree to tree with front and hind legs outstretched. Little by little, the skin of its back and belly stretched enough to cover the space between its front legs and hind legs. Finally, this flap of skin became a wing. Hold out your arms. Imagine that your fingers are growing until they are as long as your forearms. Imagine that your legs are spread apart and that you have a tail. Imagine skin attached to your body and stretched from the tip of your tail to your ankles and fingers, and then to your shoulders. That's what a bat's wing is like. Bats live in every part of the world, and of all wildlife, they are the most gentle and harmless. There are many species of bats, but only one, the vampire bat, will deliberately bite a human. There are no vampire bats in North America, or any kind of bat that will attack a person. Some people fear that bats carry disease. This is rarely, if ever, a problem. However, the books warned against picking up a sick bat. There is a chance, about 1 in 1,000, that it has rabies, a very serious disease. Bats, like all wild animals, should be handled with care. Most species of bats live in caves or hollow trees, but one species, the little brown bat, likes the warmth and safety of buildings. In the spring, females roost together to have their babies. At nights, while the mothers hunt, the baby bats cling together to keep warm. They play together too. In the autumn, when the young bats can fly, the colony leaves for a winter home. Bats living in an attic or under the eaves are usually no bother to the people in the house. Even so, some people want to get rid of them. To do this in summer is cruel. If mother bats are killed or shut out of the nursery, their babies die of starvation. The books urged people who find bats living in the house to let them stay until the young bats are able to fly, when they will all leave of their own accord. After they are gone, it is okay to close up all the entrances to prevent them from returning in the spring. Mom and Dad agreed that the bats were welcome to spend the summer with us. They're probably in the attic, coming in and going out through some little hole we haven't noticed, Mom said. If one comes down here by mistake, it's easy enough to shoo it out. Just don't handle one with your bare hands. Can I go look for them? My brother asked. When Mom said no, he sulked. One afternoon, my brother told me he was going to hunt for bats. I asked, "What for?" He said, "Just because." I knew it was a bad idea, but I followed him. He was carrying a flashlight and a tennis racket. Someone had told him that a bat can't echolocate a tennis racket in the dark because of the holes. We climbed steep stairs. My brother pushed open the attic door. It was dark inside, warm and musty. My brother shone the beam of the flashlight on the eaves. "There!" my brother shouted. In a corner where rafters met, I saw a cluster of dark shapes hanging like tiny umbrellas. He moved closer. He reached up with the racket and touched a bat. In an instant, it was flying around. Then there were dozens in the air. I ran for the door, but my brother was swinging the tennis racket. "Don't!" I yelled, just as the racket knocked a bat to the floor. The bat flopped on the floor. I knew it was hurt. My brother picked it up. We both ran. Once outside, my brother opened his hands. The bat crouched down. It looked small and afraid. Then I saw there was blood on one wing. Suddenly, I felt awful. Just then, Mom arrived. She was very upset that the bat had been hurt. She told my brother to put it in a box with breathing holes so we could take it to the vet. When we got there, the vet was nice about it. He said he would do his best to fix the bat's broken wing. When it got better, we could take it back home. He also said that the bat had been nursing a baby. It was too bad, but the baby would die before we could bring the mother back. My brother looked shocked. I knew that he felt sorry and ashamed. A few weeks later, we brought the bat home from the hospital. In the evening, when the mother bats were out hunting, my brother carried the box up to the attic. I followed and watched as he gently slid the bat onto a low beam. For a moment it huddled there, then spread its wings and disappeared into the darkness. As we went down the stairs, I saw that my brother was smiling. I knew he'd been sorry about the harm that he'd done and felt better now. Later, when the sun set, we went outdoors and waited for the bats to come out. I saw one, then another, swoop through the twilight sky, like figure skaters on ice. I thought of how small they were, how fragile and easily hurt, with only wings and a tiny brain to depend on. I wondered how I could ever have been afraid of them. After that, my brother, too, was changed. He became interested in learning about animals and never wanted to hurt one again. The end.